the detector is trying to track into that piece of mineralization and will offset itself. Well, if you labored over it, you might change the position its ground is being balanced at. The matrix of the ground might be one number. That hot rock is very negative. It'll be another number. You want to be at the matrix because that's where you want to be hunting. So if you move over, you can keep moving the loop and it'll continue to ground balance, but instantaneously all you have to do is lower the loop down one time and press grab, and it's instantly caught up and you're right back to where you were before you saw the anomaly. So grab works in both manual and in the fast auto track position. It's an instantaneous ground balance. First I'm going to do is turn on the gain so we have the detector on, and I'm going to put it right up at preset in the diamond, not preset, I keep saying that word, I mean initial setting, between 7 and 8. And I'm going to turn the threshold up so that you can hear it. Now with headphones I'd have the threshold a lot lower, but I'm going to bring it up so you can hear something, and I hope the audio camera picks this up. And at this point I'm setting the toggle switch forward to the way most of you are going to use it, which is fast auto track. And I'm going to raise and lower the rock on the loop. In the field you would raise and lower the loop on the ground. It amounts to the same thing. We're changing the distance between the ground and the coil. Here we go. And the rock has disappeared. A second ago, I'm going to do that again just to show you, see if I can offset it. Let's see, by turning it off. And if I put this on manual, you can hear the rock is making a noise. Now at this time I want to mention something, and that is that when you're demonstrating this detector to yourself, or if the dealer's demonstrating it to you, you want to be sure to demonstrate it in the manual mode when you're not near the ground. Because if you put it in tracking mode, the detector is going to see the rock as if it were the ground. If it sees it enough times, it's going to take it out. But if you use a target with it, which I'm going to do, and put a gold nugget there, if it sees a gold nugget in the air, after it sees it enough times, it's going to think it's ground. So you must have ground where you use this detector if you're going to demonstrate targets. And so that's when you would have to put it on manual. If you put it on tracking, and we're just going to demonstrate how it takes out a hot rock, it's going to work fine. So let's do it again now. I'll put it on fast auto track. It's 0. It actually memorized it while I was pumping it up and down in the manual mode. Remember earlier I said that the detector is storing all the information into its memory bank. It stored the information while I was testing this in manual, and I flipped it to tracking, doesn't see it at all. And it goes, what did I do with my nugget? I put it over here. I'm going to, and there's the zip zip. Now, I had that in tracking, and you might hear it's starting to disappear, the nugget, and you don't want that. So you're going to put it on manual, put my nugget back. It's not ground balancing because I have to use the touch pads or the grab. I'm going to use grab right now. It's gone. The grab button, grab the ground, 1 push, 2 pushes, it's gone. I put my nugget behind it. I'm in manual, so I'm not going to distort it. And you go all day long, that nugget's always going to be there. So basically what I've done is shown you that there is no ground anymore, and there is a nugget there. Of course, in the air, behind the ground, doesn't make any difference. It negated the ground. Now that is in manual mode. That's how you want to demonstrate a target and the ground balance. Let's do it manually and see if we can do this. Again, I may want to offset this thing. I'm going to do this manually. I've already ground balanced it, so I think if I change rocks, that might do it. That rock is much more negative. Now I'm in manual. If I was in the field and this was the ground, I'd have nothing but noise. I'm not ground balanced. Making sounds. How do I do it? I've got a plus and a minus. If you imagine this is one knob, and the knob is turning to the right with plus and to the left with the negative, it's just like a knob in there, but it's 2 touchpads. It's very simple. I'm going to raise and lower the loop over the ground. Since I can't do this on the floor because there's nails in the floor and everything. I'm going to do it in the air, and watch what's happening. I'm coming toward the loop, it's going blank. It's making a sound coming away. If it goes blank toward the loop, I'm going to correct it by pressing plus. Just like on a radio dial, I want to increase the sound. I've gone so far now that I'm making it go plus. I back off with the negative. I could have stopped right on time, but I wanted to purposely go over. I'm going to press it down. Now it's plus. Coming up. So I push a little bit here. Still coming up a little. I'll give it a couple of taps. And I've made it so that it doesn't make a dramatic change going up and down. I've pushed plus when it makes a sound coming up. I'll push negative when it makes a sound going down until I get it slightly positive. This is not slightly positive. I have to add 1 or 2 pushes. There it is. Absolutely out. And all I have to do is keep mislocating my nugget. The nugget is there because the ground is gone. That's how I had to do it with plus and minus. There are going to be people who want to do that because you can gain that slightly positive ground, which helps you get very, very tiny targets. And that's what we have now. Slightly, just slightly positive. I could even add 1 more push. Hear that? Slight increase, and that gives you real sensitivity to tiny targets. This is for manicuring. Manicuring the ground balance. I want to make it clear right now, you don't need to do it. All you have to do is use the automatic tracker. Forget it if you don't want it. If you know how to use it, you decide you want to use it, it's there. It's not hurting anybody. It's there. Let's use grab here again. I'm going to offset the ground just a tad here by going back to this other rock. Now what do I got? I'm on manual. It's making a sound coming up. I'm going to hit grab. And it's gone. The grab button instantaneously changes the ground, makes it ground balance, either manually or tracking. And that's all there is to it. The first one is the variable SAT. Now, I'm going to turn threshold down a little bit so I can talk over it. I had it here so you could hear what was going on with the search call when we waved things in front of it. But let's turn it back down a little bit, more comfortable level. The initial setting is between 3 and 4, and it says 3x and 4x. All that really means, that's an arbitrary setting. It doesn't mean anything. 1x to 10x is just some place to say I'm at 1x or I'm at 10x. It doesn't mean anything. But it is getting larger, the numbers are, and it means that it's faster recovery of threshold. Now, the control right above it called threshold, which I just turned down, let's turn it up. When you go over a target, you hear a break in that threshold, and it makes a zip sound. But if you notice immediately after it, it recovers the threshold. If I went over a hot rock, for example, that lapse in threshold may be a whole lot longer. So when you're in the ground, you're going to hear lapses in threshold, and you don't want them. You want a steady, consistent threshold. Now, the variable SAT means that wherever you put this number, the larger the number gets, the faster the threshold returns. There's an upside and a downside to that. One, if you're in fast-changing ground and the threshold goes away on you all the time, you're going to miss targets. You have to increase the SAT a little bit. Or you can slow down your sweep speed. There's 2 ways. Or, thirdly, you can lower your gain. So you have other ways to keeping threshold, but keeping threshold is the essence of it. We like to say, may your threshold be with you always. And that sounds very original, doesn't it? The fact is that you do want the threshold there and you want no lapses in it. SAT helps you to do that. Between 3 and 4 is normal for average hunting, and majority of the time you're going to leave it right at the initial setting. If you get into an area where the ground changes very quickly, you're going to increase SAT speed until you get to no lapsing in that threshold. Threshold is important. Okay, I guess it's pretty obvious. The next control, which ties into the one I just described, which was the variable SAT control,